We'll be joined also by another Andrews very, very shortly, and Harris Andrews, who himself might be a premier later on this year. Let's take a look at the scores now from the match that has got us all excited. This coming at the expense of the Western Bulldogs, the latest win for Brisbane.
It certainly has been, and they blew them away just before half-time. Eric kicked 5, as we know. Lockie Neal, Brownlow medal all over him. McRae was very good. Bontempelli kicked the big goal to put him in front. Mitch Wallace kicked 3 goals, 2 of those early. But as you alluded to, TJ, Harris Andrews, the premier fullback in the competition, joins us right now. And you're playing a really good brand of football, Harris.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
You're playing a really good brand of footy there, Harris.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, boys. We're going all right at the moment. We've had a pretty tough stretch over the last couple of weeks, cramming in the footy and that sort of thing. So we're able to get 3 wins over our last 4 games, which is really exciting and set us up in a good spot.
You talk about cramming games and you've got a week's break now. How is the bodies, particularly of the bigger guys and probably the older guys who cramming these games in, you get heavy legs, you got sort of little niggly injuries. How is your body and some of your senior players?
My body's feeling really good, to be honest with you. It's been obviously very different, playing 4 games in 13 days. But I guess our strength and conditioning staff have done a really good job of making sure everyone's fit. And, we've had a really good focus on recovery over the last couple of weeks. So, I think collectively the group's feeling really good. And obviously we'll appreciate the next 7 days and just focus on making sure we're ready to go for North Melbourne next Saturday.
They really took it up to you early, the Bulldogs. They were 2 points up when Bontempelli kicked a goal. But I thought your centre clearance work and your clearance work overall was outstanding, led by big Oscar McInerney in the middle.
Yeah, Big O, he did a great job. Tim English has been in some really good form over the last couple of weeks, and our ability to win the ball out of the centre, particularly at centre bounce, was awesome. And we play our best footy when the ball's in our front half, and so those guys in the midfield did an awesome job with that. And as defenders, we're really appreciative of the work they're doing.
Harris, the only question mark I have on Brisbane winning this premiership is your forward line. Obviously, Eric Hipwood and Daniel McStay. So you'd play a lot on Eric Hipwood at training. What does he need to do, you think, to get more consistent to help you guys come the business end of the season? He was great last night, but I thought he was on an inexperienced player. So what does he need to do to, probably bridge the gap between his best and worst?
Oh, he was fantastic, as you said, Lloydie, last night. And I think probably just our service kicking to him. We probably don't kick to his advantage as much as we should. He's been really competitive over the last few weeks and probably hasn't quite gotten the reward on the scoreboard that he wanted. And I guess our inconsistent goal kicking over the last few weeks has hurt us. And, if our forwards and Hippie included take their opportunities, then, they're as dangerous a forward line in the league as there is. So I think he's going along really nicely, and we really value the effort that he brings week to week. He gets the ball to ground most of the time and gets guys like Charlie and Link involved in the game. So, we really appreciate what he's doing from a club standpoint.
You mentioned Charlie Cameron. Your emotions when you saw him go down, it looked nasty. And the second part to that is, were you surprised he came back on the ground?
Yeah, it certainly did look nasty. I was a little bit concerned. Obviously, the knee's not meant to bend that way, but his ability to get back on the ground and play his role for the team was pretty unbelievable. And I sent him a quick message last night to see how he's going, and obviously they'll do some scans and that sort of thing, but not really too sure at this point.
Harris, Brisbane's obviously been on the scene in Brisbane for quite some time, but, let's be honest, just like Melbourne Storm is the secondary competition here in Victoria, AFL is secondary to NRL in Queensland. Has there been a real shift now that, you are essentially the home of the AFL?
Yeah, I think there has been, particularly probably from the start of last year when we were able to get a few wins early. AFL has really started to rise in Brisbane, and you start to get a little bit more recognition around Brisbane, which some guys love and some guys hate. But I guess obviously during those early 2000 period when Brisbane were really successful, it was absolutely thriving, and then it went through a bit of a rough patch. And the Broncos aren't flying at the moment, which probably helps the case a little bit. But it's exciting having so many teams up in Brisbane and the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast. So it's good to see footy thriving in Brisbane.
Harris, what about expectation-wise internally and the contrast between 2019 when you're on this surge but not knowing how good you actually were, let alone how, I suppose, proving to the competition how good you were? How's that different this year?
Probably not too different, to be honest with you. I guess Fags just does a really good job of simplifying it for us and controlling what we can control, making sure that we're improving week to week, learning things from game to game. And, we haven't really set any sort of expectations of us as a group. And as cliche it is, we're sort of just worried about what we're doing week to week and not even week to week, I guess, the way that the fixture's been condensed. It's sort of playing every 4 or 5 days. So, yeah, it's just making sure we get ready to play and rolling out and working on things that we can.
Going to have a look at the votes from last night's game, Harris, and I thought Lachie Neale again. He's kicking goals, he's getting touches, 3 votes again. Eric Hipwood, 5 goals. He was very good last night. Hugh McCluggage just doesn't make mistakes. And I gave Jack McRae a vote for 40 disposals.
Harris, great to catch up with you. All the best for the remainder of the season, and who knows where you'll end up by season's end. So thanks for your time.
Thanks very much for having me, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Harris Andrews joining us there from Brisbane. Just want to ask you very quickly, Lordo, Eric Hipwood, I get the sense that you think he's got a lot of ability, but there's just a few cracks in his game at the moment. Would you ever consider just, giving him some advice?
Probably not. Obviously, if he
Why?
I think he's got that many coaches there, and I could be telling him things completely different to what his coaches want him to do. So, if ever someone called, I love helping young players, but in that situation, I wouldn't. I just feel...
Does he need to get bigger?
What's that? Yeah, he needs to get bigger, which will come with time. I think, obviously, he can run under the ball a fair bit. Obviously, his kicking can let him down at times. I think he's going to be a good player, but McStay, their back line is that good, their midfield is that good, but I'm concerned that between Rayner, who's inconsistent, McStay inconsistent, Hipwood's inconsistent.
You're relying on Charlie Cameron to kick a big score.
Too big. So that's what I think they may fell short again this year.
All right, terrific stuff. Matthew Lloyd there with his thoughts on Eric Hipwood and all things forwards.